Unbelievable. I didn't want to do that, really. But I'm now ready for Heart of the Swarm. I'll tell you who can do training better than me and give you some more insight into the game. It's Mr. Apollo. Take a look at this.
Hello everyone, I am Sean Apollo Clark. I am a professional commentator who's been fortunate enough to travel the world bringing you commentary for professional tournaments thanks to StarCraft II and of course its community. When I'm not traveling, I make educational videos for players of all levels in hope to aid you in achieving your goals. But today I'm here to talk about one thing. I'm here to talk about the multiplayer aspect of Heart of the Swarm. For starters, let's jump into Battle.net. So this is where you'll find yourself once you dip into StarCraft II multiplayer. Blizzard have made your journey relatively easy. By clicking on the matchmaking button, it'll take you immediately into the first step of your journey, training. Training is 3 different stages, increasing its difficulty each time, beginning with normal game speed and basic units, going all the way up to faster game speed and all multiplayer units available. Once you complete your training in all 3 stages, you're going to head up to play against the AI, where you'll play 3 placement matches to determine your skill for when you will eventually, very shortly, be going up against human opponents. And when you clicked on rank, that's where it's going to begin. So after clicking on ranked, you're going to play against human opponents, but it doesn't matter. There's no stats, there's no pressure. You're playing for fun almost at this stage. And once you get confident enough, then you're going to head over to the real deal, the ranked button over here. And this is where you're going to have 5 placement matches. Will determine what league you're going to begin your journey in Heart of the Swarm in. And this is where it all begins. So when you enter a 1v1, unlike the single play where you have various objectives, you have a single one here. Kill the other guy. Now let's jump into an actual multiplayer game. So here we are. I'm playing Terran today, and as mentioned earlier, to accomplish killing the other guy, you need to balance the main concept of StarCraft II, which is building your economy, versus unit production. With investing too much into your economy in the early stages, you are weak against early attacks. But if you focus too much on building an army at the start, you fall behind in your economy. Finding the balance is where the true beauty of playing StarCraft II multiplayer is. Let's rewind the game and go back to the beginning to take a closer look at this simple concept. So here we are now, only a few minutes into this game. As your first barracks is about to complete, now you have an option as your minerals start to build up closer towards that 300 mineral mark. You can either build 2 more barracks at 150 minerals each to increase your army production, or if you just wait a little bit here, you can throw down a second command center for 400 minerals and increase your economy. As this command center completes, we will start to add production to build our army, which will be powered from a stronger infrastructure because of that earlier command center. This is the first step towards catching up our production with our stronger economy. We are now heading towards having an army that we can be aggressive with. So let's fast forward once again where we'll have our army and we can start to move out on the map. So I am now with my army moving across the map looking to start a fight. I have a good economy and good production, and now I must focus on my unit control and getting the best with what I have. With our army, we've purchased the new Heart of the Swarm unit, the Widow Mine. You can see them borrowed around in the ground around our army that we have. They deal out splash damage to the units that move in the near vicinity. We will try our best to utilize them against our opponent. We have a good amount of units supported by medivacs here, which if you didn't know, they'll heal our Marines and Marauders. So here we have the Protoss player moving out. We have our army, and then we're going to stim and pull back our units into the Widow Mines. We need to dodge the storms that are coming down that will deal terrible damage here. And then with the good use of the Widow Mines in conjunction with our primary squad and with very good control, we will eliminate everything that the Protoss player has. And after we do this, it's time to start the push towards his base. As witnessed here, with good game knowledge on production versus economy and being able to control what you've built, you can beat down your opponent like we did just here. Fewer things are more satisfying than winning a ladder game. So there we have it. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of StarCraft. I have given you the tools to start your multiplayer journey, and I hope to see you on the ladder. Good luck, Commander. This is Sean Apollo Clark, signing off.
Fantastic stuff again from Apollo. Wonderful. We're going to see one more from him as well before the end of the show. We continue our Global Invasion launch event with our second semi-final. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, our second semi-finalists, White Ra and Lucifron. Okay, gents, shake hands. Best of luck to both of you. Good luck in the semi-final, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, White Ra and Lucifron. Okay, and to bring you all the action of this second semi-final after that epic first one, it is your wonderful commentary team of Taste Doses.
What's up, guys? We've had some epic games so far, man. I can't believe that last one we saw.
Oh my God!
With Stefano and
what a series that really was, Tasteless. It was so hard to see who was going to win until the very end there.
Yeah.
And now we have two very evenly matched players going up once again. It's Lucifron against White Ra. What do you think?
I actually really don't know on this one. I am really on the fence. I'm actually curious. I didn't want to do this in the last game we had because clearly there's a hometown favorite, but. How many of you guys think that that Lucifron over here can take the game?
It's quite a few.
And then how many of the rest of you guys are rooting for White Ra?
White Ra, always a fan favorite, Tasteless.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to not love White Ra. He is he's a charming guy, inspirational person, and I mean he's just very good at the game. And it's cool because he's an older professional gamer. You know, a lot of people would say, "Oh, well, can you really, can you do this in your mid-20s or past 30?" And the answer is some people can. White Ra doesn't.
Yeah, in fact, he is the oldest pro gamer in the world for StarCraft II.
How old is he exactly now?
I want to say he's 31 or 32.
Okay, 32.
Yeah,
okay,
something like that. Whereas I think he's like 1 year older than Nesty.
I was going to say Nesty the other. Just considerably older professional gamer.
After that, pro gaming drops down to like 26 or 27.
Yeah, those are the next highest highest guys that we get in this. We're going to be starting this game as soon as possible. And I got to say, this has been an amazing venue. This is my first time here in Versailles.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's pretty awesome so far.
It's pretty sick.
That castle outside, oh my God, I would love to live there.
It's amazing, really. Yeah. So once our players are ready, we're going to go ahead and get this going. What do you expect here? You watched a lot of White Ra's games. What kind of strats do you think he's going to try to execute?
Well, I think he's going to open up with Oracle probably every game. White Ra really likes the Oracle. He likes the flexibility it gives you. And that's basically what he's been doing so far in Heart of the Swarm. So I really expect a lot of Oracle play from him. Harassment, maybe some 6 gates with Oracle, some very strong plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one other thing about the Oracle, just we've seen so many builds where these guys get that Oracle. They go for it early on. It reminds me a lot of the StarCraft I Shuttle and Reaver opener, but they send that Oracle over there, and if Terran's getting too greedy, they get punished pretty hard.
Oh, that is for sure. But Lucifron is great at holding things. He's so good at every single stage of the game. I would say almost especially in the early and late games.
You guys having fun? We got the tail end of that. But yeah, you guys look like you're having fun over there. Anyway, sorry, please go ahead.
Now, Lucifron, though, I feel like he might be able to hold off White Ra's aggression for the most part. I actually expect a 2-1 here, one way or the other. I'm leaning a little bit towards Lucifron, though.
Yeah, well, you could be right. Now, let's talk about the Widow Mine. We haven't casted any Terrans yet here, but this is the Heart of the Swarm launch, and we do have Lucifron here. How do you think he's going to try to use Widow Mines in this game?
Well, there's a lot of ways you can use them. You can quickly grab them and try to drop them with Medivacs into the Protoss space. You can just use them early on to pressure against any Protoss expands with, let's say, some Marauders and Marines. Or you can use them defensively to guard against Oracles. Widow Mines are kind of a jack of all trades. You can use them in pretty much any way, and even in the same game, you can use them in 3, 4, 5 different ways.
Yeah, I feel like this is the strongest unit. They brought in a Heart of the Swarm when you look at the price of it and what it's able to do. And it's funny because, like you said, it really is a jack of all trades. I mean, you're able to harass with it. You can push with your push it with your army, and you can use it for drops. It's amazing.
Yeah, a very useful unit indeed. I'd love to see Lucifron make a few of those. We could definitely see some Reapers off him as well. The Reaper got a huge upgrade in Heart of the Swarm. It's much quicker, and it regenerates its health. So it's a good thing to scout with.
And I really feel like the Blizzard did the perfect job with just tweaking the Reaper. Because if you remember in the beta for StarCraft II, Wings of Liberty, it was like everybody was making mass Reapers, and then they would kite the other player's army with it, and it was just too strong, and it didn't really meet the criteria for what we wanted. Thank you for that, by the way, that sign. We didn't quite meet the criteria, but we would expect the Reaper to do the role it was supposed to fill. And, you know, now, with it regenning and everything like that, I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what types of strategies these guys are going to use. You know, they're both very creative. At the beginning of Wings of Liberty, Lucifron was coming up with a lot of new strategies and winning a lot, especially in the early game. Whereas Whiterot, forever, I mean, he's known for special tactics, right?
Indeed.
He makes up all sorts of new builds.
And, you know, one thing that's cool about this is, I mean, obviously we're almost Whiteraw's age. Whiteraw was a guy we were playing StarCraft I with back in the day. He was like one of the guys we actually trained with when we were professional gamers in StarCraft I. So it's really cool to see him here now doing this.
I've known him for, I think, 9 years now.
Yeah, I think
9 or 10
like
years.
8, something like that.
He is as old school as they come, Tasteless.
Yep. We're still waiting for the players. I think I don't know if Lucifron's having tech problems right now or what's going on, but we're still waiting for him to come into the game. And as soon as he is ready, we will get this underway.
Yeah, we're just getting that fixed. Of course, they have to have their mice, their keyboards, their settings within StarCraft II. All perfect. You know, StarCraft II is so customizable, even more so now in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, if you don't play professionally, if you don't have those settings exactly the way it's supposed to be at home, you cannot play.
No, you're not going to be able to win anything.
You can't just wing it.
Not at the pro level.
No, not at the pro level. So, I mean, even everything down to the chair height. You know, we've seen Flash, who's a very the most accomplished StarCraft I Terran of all time, actually bring a ruler when he comes to tournaments.
Yeah.
And actually measure out the distance from where his mouse pad is to his keyboard. So you got to get it down and get it down perfectly. So hopefully we'll have that set up soon.
Yeah, that is so important. And, you know, we haven't seen that yet as much from European players, but you definitely can see them very carefully place everything on their desk, go through their settings. You know, sitting back here, we've seen Whiterot go through his settings, we've seen Lucifron go through his settings, and it looks like everything should be all set for him, so we should be getting this started pretty soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. And it looks like, yeah, we do have Lucifron now joining the game, so I'm sure we'll get this started right away. And this is going to be cool. Remember, the winner goes up against Grubby. So we're either going to have a PvT finals or a PvP finals.
That's right. And both going to be very exciting. We're going to watch PvT right now, but no matter who wins, Grubby has a very different style than Whiterot, and of course we haven't seen PvP yet, so we have at least 4 more very original games coming up. I'm
going to be selfish and say I sort of want Whiterot to win, because then this way I already got to copy some PvZ builds from Grubby in that game. And then I got PvT now.
And then you could get
And then
PvP.
if I get PvP, then I'll be able to go back home and ladder, and I'll be in great shape. All right, looks like the game's loading. Are you guys excited? Sick. All right. In the bottom left, from Ukraine, make some noise for Whiterot. And in the bottom right, we have our Terran player from Spain. Give it up for Lucifron.
And the map is Whirlwind. This is our biggest professional map overall. So
this is a huge map.
Yeah, that's definitely going to affect things. It's going to be harder for both players to get aggressive. And, you know, both players do have things to help against that, though. For instance, we now have the speed boost on the Medivacs for Terran, so Lucifron can still get across the map pretty quickly with drops. And, of course, with Whiterot, we have the older mechanic, which is Warp-In, which can allow him to reinforce his army across the map very, very quickly.
Yeah, now it's a 4-player map as well, so unlike these 2-player maps, you know, on a two-player map, you actually know the other guy's starting location because just the process of elimination, you start one place, you obviously can only be in one other location. So we see occasionally builds that are tailored for that situation, which can kill the other player early on. This is a four-player map.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for instance, let's look at White Raw's probe right now. He's scouted at the upper left. He's not there. And he's going to probably scout at the upper right, and he won't be there again. And he'll go down to the bottom right, but he might not even be able to get inside the Terran's base at this point in time.
That is a possibility, and Lucifron has accounted for this, of how long it takes to actually scout your opponent by going for a command center before a barracks. So he's not going to have any units that could defend any quick rush, but on a map this big that takes so long to scout out, you know, that's fine. It's going to work out just perfectly for him this game.
Now, they're both sharing the bottom of the map, and one of the things to note about that is it's not quite as easy for either side to drop into the other player's base. It can still happen, but it's just not quite as doable. They're also probably just both going to expand upwards. We'll see. There should be a lot of harass in this game. I'm just excited to see what build White Raw is going to do here. And in fact, it looks like we will have a potential proxy pylon.
Yeah,
yes, we do.
Looks like he's going to go proxy Stargate. Yeah. White Raw, you know, we were talking to him some last night. He was saying he really does like proxy Stargate Oracle against Terran. And this is a good choice right now because Lucifron is just now getting Marines out, and who knows, will he actually have enough to defend against the Oracle correctly?
And, you know, when that Oracle gets in there, things die fast. It is very unforgiving, and to be frank, it's pretty hard to mess up with the Oracle once you get inside their base if they don't have a lot of Marines.
Oh, yeah.
If they have Marines, then, yeah, you got to control it very well and try to get away, but it's very unforgiving. It's almost, you could say it's one of these builds that counters pretty directly any Terran that's being too greedy.
Yeah, and you really want to have about 6 Marines to defend the Oracle. If you have any less, the Oracle will actually just kill them on his own. So that's going to have to be something that Lucifron is very careful about. You leave 3-4 Marines there, White Raw is going to count them, he will kill them, and then go after your SCVs.
The Stargate's done, and the Oracle is now on the way. As we can see the little Oracle animation there. Now, he's going to be headed down here towards the main, most likely, of Lucifron. Now, Lucifron's build, the build he's using, is a build we've seen in Wings of Liberty. Obviously, he hasn't gotten to the point where he can incorporate some of the StarCraft II units that have either been modified or are brand new. So we'll see, you know, where he goes from here. Now, he's also brought out the Stalker, so he might use the Stalker aggressively in the front once the Marines are pulled out of the bunker in the back. The SCV is going to scout, but it'll be too late. Once this Oracle's in there, here we go.
There's no Marines, Tasteless. The Oracle is going to go to work on these SCVs. It looks like Lucifron's sending back some Marines, but only 3 right there, and the Oracle definitely could take those out.
Yep, he's killing off SCV after SCV after SCV. Now, you can only do this attack. Uh-oh. All right, the Marines are now coming up here, but White Raw has used this unit a lot and now knows exactly how much damage it could take. A second Oracle is in the mail right now. Now he's trying to send more Marines over here. The bunker does not have as many Marines anymore.
Yeah, this is getting really dangerous for Lucifron. You see he attacked in with not enough Marines. You really need 6 or more to deal with an Oracle. So White Raw has cleaned them up, and with this second Oracle and now a third on the way, he may be able to eventually just overpower Lucifron.
All right, more SCVs are being killed off. Marines are coming up here, and this should be enough. But all they have to do is avoid those Marines. That Oracle with no energy is taken out. And you know what? He might just attack in the front here. There's still no more Marines left.
Oh, my
Just 2 at the front, and he's going to be attacking in the front momentarily.
White Raw with some brilliant play here. Tace is killing out so many Marines there and going after the bunker now with only 2 Marines in it. No way that bunker's going to survive.
This may be the beginning of the end. He has Marines now to try to drive out that Oracle, but another Oracle's being made and now sent towards that base. The SCVs are being evacuated, but will they be able to be safe when this Oracle right here gets inside? And the answer is no. GG.
Wow, White Raw playing really well there. That proxy Stargate Oracle is a very powerful build.
Yeah,
and you know,
pretty good.
Lucifron only made 1 or 2 mistakes there, and I really like the part where White Raw had both in there and moved 1 Oracle forward, because at that point, Lucifron finally had enough Marines to kill the Oracle. But then that first Oracle got targeted down, and then he had enough damage to kill everything else.
It's funny, too, because you'll see a lot of guys try to harass with the Oracle, but you saw that moment where White Raw identified, like, even if I lose the Oracle, he's not going to have any Marines.
Yeah.
I'm not expanding. He's made additional gateways, and he just managed to run him over.
Really well played there by White Raw. Luciferon's going to have to think hard about that game and see what he can do to counteract the style of White Raw.
All right, we're going to go ahead and throw it to Apollo for some analysis.
I'm joined by a very special guest here, Mr. Kim. Thank you for joining me up here on the analysis desk. It's no problem. So right now we're going to be jumping into the game in just a couple of seconds' time here to discuss what happened. It's rather a simple concept, rather a simple game that not too many of you should really not understand, but if you do, then hopefully you can walk it through. So if we load into the game, we can start to look what really happened. And the first thing that we noticed when looking into the game is that White Raw played a normal-ish game, but he already had a plan in his mind from the get-go. So if we get into game now, we can actually take a closer look at this and already look. So I'm going to pause it now. And one thing we can note, White Raw originally scouted to the top left first, to the top right second, and then immediately went here upon knowing his opponent was in the bottom right. And you called it straight away that it's just going to be as you expected.
Proxy Stargate, yeah.
Proxy Stargate. On the other hand, though, let's have a look what Luciferon's doing. Command center first into double barracks, and his scout was quite late, actually, and it went the wrong way as well. So it's going to go all the way to the top right and then all the way to the top left. It's going to have the latest possible scout. And what we're going to end up seeing, because of the way that the probe is up here, there's two things that this can be, Stargate or Robo. But because of the distance away from the main base, if it's going to be a proxy, Robo, or Mortal play, then it's got to be closer. So it has to be Stargate play from White Raw. So, I mean, the Oracle is a new unit to Heart of the Swarm. What are the real strengths and weaknesses when it comes to Oracle play, especially in Terran vs. Protoss here?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to Luciferon before the games too about the Oracle, and I think what he said is like exactly correct in that if they are undetected and they fly in when you're not ready, they will do a lot of damage compared to if they are scouted, then they're rather easy to defend against. And because the scout came in so late, I think that was pretty detrimental for Luciferon. He didn't even know White Raw didn't expand, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't expand. Right now, as we see, as he gets to the base of his opponent where he should have expanded, the Oracle's already in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think one of the biggest plays from Luciferon is it's White Raw, it's special tactics, man. He's always going to do something like this. So he's got to be playing a little bit more careful. Maybe it was a bit too greedy to play with that. And we already actually see, it was, I think, 4 Marines in total here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a lot of damage. The Oracle, as we can see, does 25 damage. Versus light, versus SCVs and Marines was just too much here. And as you can see behind this, 3 gateways coming down, it's just going to
What's also interesting here, I think, is he had enough Marines in the bunker, too, I think. Yeah, so because he has that bunker as well as enough Marines, and there's only, there's some Protoss pressure in the front of the base, but you don't need that many Marines inside that bunker to hold against a few units at the start of the game. So I think he could have held, but just everything kind of didn't fall into the right places for him, right?
I mean, if you look at it, you bring up a really good point there, Mr. Kim, because if you look at this, 2 gateways are about to come down. The warp gate's a long way away.
Yeah.
If Luciferon had identified, I mean, maybe he did panic when he didn't see this coming down. Maybe he wasn't quite on top of his game, realizing that something could come. But if he'd played this smart, having 2 extra Marines come in,
that would have totally stopped it.
Totally stopped it. 6 Marines, I think it's 5 Marines or 5 to 6 Marines. It will stop an Oracle.
Yeah, for sure.
And then from here on out, he could have gone back in the bunker. Had time to get his engineering bay down. Had time to get the turret down. And from here on out, it would have been a different game. So just before we close this up and pass it back, what do you think that Luciferon will do coming into the next game against White Raw?
I'm sure. I mean, I'm not sure, but I think he'll scout for a little quicker this time because I guess it depends on the map, though, right? Because this is the most difficult to scout on map. But I think he definitely needs to scout a little faster in order to really figure out what White Raw is planning on, because White Raw is known for using a variety of tactics. So,
It is Akalon Wastes, the next map.
Oh, okay.
So it's not too big of a map. It is a 2-player map, and Luciferon, with that map, definitely going to be a lot more on top of finding out what White Raw is doing, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, thanks for joining me, and I guess we'll be back for map number 2 very shortly. So back to you, Tastosis, on the main stage.
Great work as always, guys. I got to say, you know, that was a tough game for Luciferon.
It was. A lot of things didn't go his way. If he had scouted White Raw more quickly, he maybe could have seen that, oh, you don't have an expansion yet. White Raw loves Oracles. Maybe I should defend against them.
Yeah, and, you know, the funny thing is that that's not a standard build. No. That's basically a timed out all-in. So the fact of the matter is, Lucifron has no idea still how White Raw will play a standard PvT.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, but I gotta give you my guess, Tasteless. Yeah. White Raw loves his oracles. I think we're gonna see more oracle play, whether it's proxied or in his main base.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We could see that as well. Now, what about Lucifron? Do you think he'll do a command center first build? Because I feel like that build that he did was what allowed White Raw's build to be so effective.
Certainly, and especially on that map, it's going to be more effective. I think that this map is going to be much, much better for a different choice, whether he wants to get a quick Reaper out for a forced scout, or maybe just go into an earlier gas to get out some Widow Mines, something like that, put on some pressure. I think that that's going to work out much better against White Raw in his style.
You know, the general rule, about RTS games is that every new RTS game that comes out, it's almost never safe to do quick expand builds.
Yeah.
Frankly, HOTS is like a new RTS game. Now, they've changed so many of the units, and there's so many new units that, you know, when you see Lucifron do a build like that, the reason why that build works is because it's been tried and tested for, over a year or two in Wings of Liberty, so we can say, he can check for anything there. In this case, I'm wondering if he's going to do some more one-base play here.
I would like to see it from him. Well, it looks like we have the game ready, Tasteless. Let's go ahead, throw that on the screen, and see what they're going to do.
And let's see if Lucifron can come back. Speaking of which, in the bottom right, make some noise for the guy who needs to make that comeback. He is Lucifron. And in the upper left, with his special tactics, make some noise for White Raw.
All right, it's time to see. We'll be seeing in a few moments here, actually, if Lucifron's going to go for that command center first or not. Will he queue up a lot of SCVs? Doesn't look like it yet. I think we are going to see barracks.
Yeah, or, I got to agree with you.
A gas first, perhaps.
He almost went there.
No?
Let's see. Right. Okay, yeah, he is going to go gas first.
Well, what this means is he definitely will be teching up. He'll be getting that barracks very soon, but he wants to get a lot of gas and get it quickly. It could be for a Reaper, but more likely it's going to be for a factory.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Either one could be good here. You know, with those Reaper builds, even if the Reaper takes a little bit of damage, you just leave his base and it regens and you come in and attack later. So it's a great way to keep the Protoss stuck inside the Protoss's base.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, you know, the scouting that you can get off of the Reaper now in Heart of the Swarm makes it one of my favorite new units to see. You know, there's almost no way if you go straight into a Reaper that Protoss can stop you from scouting his main base.
Yeah, and that's smart. I mean, there are builds you can go for which involve no scouting but give you an econ lead. There are builds that just allow you to transition to something very safely. And then there are builds like that Reaper build you're talking about where you do get to scout right away. You do get to get a good idea of what they're doing. You might not have as good of an economy or the strongest tech tree, but at least you know. And against certain players, that's the best way to play.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now the probe has scouted exactly what's going on so far from Lucifron, that quick gas. Harassing a little bit on the SCVs, just putting some extra damage on them. As the Protoss shields regenerate, this is definitely something that you can mix in.
All right, the SCV is going to take some damage. Whenever you have that probe inside their base, you can always attack the SCVs until your shields are gone, and then you just run away and let the shields regen. And I mean, it's not a lot of damage, but you know, these are the little things that pro gamers do that allow them to get a massive lead. I mean, then the guy has to ask himself, do I want to repair this SCV so it's at full health, or do I need to waste medevac energy on it? If an Oracle comes in later on, let's say, that SCV might die even quicker.
Very true, yeah.
And you can see White Raw is doing a fantastic job of that so far here. Whoop.
Oh, he almost loses that probe. He really wants to keep it alive right now to see exactly what's going on. And exactly what's going on is reactored Marines and a Widow Mine. But as this probe gets killed off by the units that come out, Lucifron could switch that up.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he's switching that up. He's just trying to be as safe as humanly possible. Now, White Raw, once again, is one-basing, so he's clearly not going to try to take the same sort of risks that we saw here from Lucifron in Game 1. And also, not even really, I don't know if Grubby's games, they were risks because it's a PvZ that's a little bit different for fast expanding, but certainly he's playing, out of everything we've seen so far, very conservatively.
Yeah, you know, Lucifron is basically safe from anything that could happen right now. As far as White Raw goes, he hasn't thrown down any sort of Stargate, nothing that he can get really offensive with, and is going for a pretty quick Nexus himself.
All right, we have some Stalkers and the Mothership Core moving across the map. The Nexus is on the way. So, yeah, this is a very safe, solid build coming here from White Raw. Now, I don't think he's going to do too much damage. That is a Widowmine there. Oh!
Nice Widowmine placement there, catching that Stalker. The next Stalker getting a little bit of damage on it as well. And he is pushing into the main base with the Mothership Core a little bit. Looks like he wants to get a little bit of scouting done.
And he gets just that done. He sees 2 more barracks on the way, and he'll go and try to destroy those SCVs. A really nice micro, actually, here by Lucifron with those SCVs.
Well, you know, we'll see. Is he going to recall home? Is he going to try to just fly home? Oh, I like that. The time warp on those SCVs and Marines, stopping them from chasing him so quickly, as well as slowing down the mining.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very small amount of economic damage, but, you know, it's something. All right, so now he's going to continue to tack up. His robotics facility is almost done, and he's adding additional gateways.
And you know what? He got a good scout on. Sure, he lost a Stalker and got some damage on another, but he knows what's going on, and he's preparing for it. He's getting an Observer, he has some Stalkers, and he's getting more gateways as well.
All right, now the Widowmines don't die very quickly here. We have one just barely burrows down in there, and there are 2 more coming up here now as well. One force field coming in here, and he could try to leapfrog these Widowmines and moving them forward. He moves back the 2 that are injured.
Oh, and gets a shot off on that other one, getting the sentry. So that was actually pretty effective by Lucifron.
Nice little guerrilla harass there from Lucifron. And, you know, you could tell he's such a good player because once he did the optimal amount of damage, he got out again. He didn't overextend and you know, get himself in a lot of trouble. He just did the damage, went back home, and do what you always say, when you're ahead, just get more ahead. You don't have to try to end the game.
Indeed, and that's exactly what he's doing, which is great to see. Now, White Raw is teching into Colossi, which is a great tech route against just normal Marine, Marauder, Medevac play. And of course, his Mothership Core did scout that. So, oh, that was actually really nice.
Yeah.
The detection from the turret, showing the Observer, so that the Widowmine could shoot it.
And now we have the Protoss army continuing to move out here. Right now, White Raw is trying to keep some degree of control over the game to see if there's any suspicious activity on the map that he can just, you know, stop. Meanwhile, we have a really nice scan here from Lucifron, and he sees exactly what the tech pattern is here. And I like this little poke over here by White Raw.
Yeah, it's really cute. You know, if he can kill an SCV or 2, very worthwhile. But, you know, he's got to be careful as well because these Widowmines are coming down for a little bit of a flank. And if White Raw doesn't realize that, that can be an issue.
This could be bad. He's getting chased back into the corner.
And he pulls the recall. A very good choice.
Yeah, we're seeing with both of our Protoss players, Grubby and White Raw, the importance of having that recall ability. You know, in Wings of Liberty, it was fairly unforgiving if Protoss moved out on the map, and now they're able to take that. They can't do it endlessly, but they can at least pop out and see if they can do some damage, and then if they get cornered, they can recall out.
Yeah, very true. Well, you know, as we watch these build orders unfold, it looks like White Raw wants to get aggressive soon. He's adding a couple more gateways, and he's getting a lot of Colossus. He's spending a lot of money on Stalkers. So we might actually see him do a 2-base all-in, something that he's going to have to kill Lucifron with if he wants to win the game.
Yeah, and that's never never bad to do. I think it's not the way you want to play every single game, but yeah, he can just sit on 2 bases and save any money he would get on another Nexus or more probes and just put that into his army.
Yeah, it's going to give him an abnormally large-sized army for this part of the game.
Now this could be weird because he's outside of his base. There's a medevac drop coming over here. And yes, they really do move that fast in Heart of the Swarm. They're now coming up over here, and they're going to drop into the main, and White Raw's army is not there. But then again, Lucifron doesn't have a lot at home to defend.
Oh, this could be bad for both players here. We'll see how they deal with it, but a very nice recall with that Mothership Core, allowing White Raw to take no damage from this drop.
Yeah, that was really smart. But we have another attack coming up over here at the entrance.
Oh, very smart
Widowmines are burrowing, being spread out. A lot of damage being dealt to these Stalkers. The Colossus comes out, but the Widowmine is reloading. I don't see an Observer anywhere. Another drop, though, over here. Stimming, hitting the Nexus and doing too much damage. One Colossus does get gunned down.
Oh my god, he's dealing a lot of damage with this drop. Tasteless targeting that Nexus a bit, but I think he realizes he can't quite get it, so he will boost out of there.
And you can see how unforgiving it is if the Protoss is just not positioned correctly. It's rough, and these Widow Mines are still out here and doing a lot of damage there to these probes.
Yeah, indeed.
Am I missing something? Is there no observer out?
No,
the only observer is there.
That's right, it was too far away, and in fact we have another drop in the main base. Lucifron absolutely all over the place, trying to get as much damage on as he possibly can. And you can see that reflected in the supplies. 118 against 79.
White Ra is getting too spread out right now. He's getting his army is thinning out way too much. He manages to take out the Widow Mine, but it looks like there might be another attack up here at the front.
And it looks like this could be too many units coming from all sides here from Lucifron. More units being warped in by White Ra, but does he have enough to protect both locations?
No, he does not, and GG! Wow, really short, straightforward games here.
That was kind of crazy. Lucifron did a very good job with that multi-pronged harassment. He was hitting so many places at once that White Ra just couldn't hold on.
Yeah, I mean, there really just wasn't much you could do. You know, with Protoss against Terran, those key units, you know, like the Immortals or the Colossi or the Observers, all of those are so important. And, you know, when he lost that first Observer, that was pretty bad. And then you could see that he just wasn't, he didn't have the proper tech set up. And also really nice two-pronged attack. That's really difficult to hold off. You know, Protoss has to split his army up. And it wasn't split up correctly.
That's right. You know, especially with Colossus-based builds, it's hard to split your army. The Colossus is good in a big ball of units. When you split them up, they can be taken out, and we saw Lucifron do that specifically.
Yeah. So, you know, what's going to happen at game number 3, I don't know. These guys are having very intense short games. It's actually a bit different from the grubby Stefano series. This is a, you know, a real slugfest here between these two.
That is for sure. Both of them have a lot of aggressive tendencies. So, you know, the third game could look just like that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because we haven't really been able to see what the end game play style is going to be from these two guys because the games have been so short. We're going to go and throw it to Apollo for a little bit of analysis. Take it away.
Thank you very much once again, guys, and as you can see, I'm joined by the wonderful David Kim, and we're going to just analyze that game, just give a bit of analysis on it and break it down for you. So what I want to talk about first is how Terran's changed in Heart of the Swarm and what you wanted it to be like. So first of all, we can jump into the game and have a quick look at the opening that Lucifron decided to use, which was Refinery first, into Widow Mines, into it's a little bit weird because his plan was looking for much more of an over defense from White Ra, because when you go in as a Protoss and see Refinery first and then see the option of Widow Mines coming out, Marines coming out, you can see that switch over. If he stays in gas, he can easily go ahead and add on a starport and be aggressive. Is this kind of the way that, or should I rephrase that and say, when building the Widow Mine or making this Widow Mine come into Heart of the Swarm, what were you thinking in terms of options for Terran, considering in Wings of Liberty, pretty much every single game was always one barracks command center?
Yeah, so like you said, we wanted more options for not just the Terrans, but for all three races as well. But I just want to add that not just in this series, but in the last series also, both sides were actually, there was constant action on both sides throughout the course of the whole game. So I think those types of games are a lot more exciting to watch as a viewer of esports. So we were aiming for not only diversity, but also the fact that people can go a little more aggressive on no matter what matchup you're playing on, whichever side.
And just, you know, looking into this game now, definitely Lucifron's plan going into it was, I'll show this aggressive play and then just fall back on usual play. And what he's hoping, because White Ra is definitely an extreme player, he'll go from one extreme to the other, and he'll do it in fashion too. So upon seeing potential aggression, Lucifron's wanting White Ra to overcommit to a defense, whether that be 3 gateways, whether it be going up to a Stargate really fast, a Robo really fast, and not expanding. So that's something that he really wanted to focus on in this game. But the next point I want to bring up on, because it did kind of turn equal. White Ra didn't overcommit, he just went 1 gateway expand, and as we saw, Lucifron just expanded anyway. But now I want to go into the next point of this game, which is the new Medivacs as well. You've seen a lot of these play in Intel Stream Masters in this game here too. what White Rot ended up doing in this game, he decided to go for 6 gateways and Colossus. No forge, no longevity, no upgrades, and he was going to go for a massive attack. But what we've seen recently in the Intel Extreme Masters and other tournaments, if Protoss try something like this, they have Widow Mines to fall back on a defense. They have units, they're the 3 Widow Mines actually, units in the middle of the map and drops. How do you feel, and what have you been thinking about Medivac speed boost, how Medivacs are being used in this matchup and others as well?
Yeah, so a lot of pros and just players in general say Medivac is too much. But our stance on just everything is, I mean, first of all, we do agree that Medivacs are really strong in Heart of the Swarm. But at the same time, we kind of want to give it some time so that players really figure it out, not only on the offense, but the defending player probably needs some time, even more time to actually learn to defend against this. So in order to really change the game around, we kind of need these really strong options here and there. So, so our stance right now is, we know that they're pretty strong right now, but we do want to wait a little, at least a little bit longer to see how future tournaments turn out.
That's a great answer there, and well, we'll have to find out, because we can kind of come out this game now. There's nothing really too much to look at, because it's actually, Heart of the Storm, I don't think really influenced this game at all. I think this is a very normal Wings of Liberty style game. If you go 2-base Colossus and you're looking to move out, Terran will absolutely drop you. They'll just bunker and defend back at home. So I don't think that it was really anything in this game, but it was great to hear your thoughts on that. Sure. And I'm sure it'll be an exciting 3rd game to come, your way. So guys, take it away.
Great work as always, guys. We're back here. We're going to go into game number 3 momentarily. I think anybody can take it still.
Yeah, this absolutely could go either way. These have been kind of one-sided, both of them. So someone's going to get the better tech on the other player and maybe crush them again.
I'm going to call right now that I think both players will go 1 base.
I think so.
Something similar to the last game.
It's getting too scary from both sides. Are you really going to take a fast expansion after those 2 games? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, once the game is made and ready, we're going to get this going. This is going to be so cool. So we're either going to have Lucifron against Grubby coming up here, or we're going to have White Raw against Grubby.
I want to see both of them. So
now, if Lucifron beats White Raw, does Lucifron, in your opinion, beat Grubby?
That's a hard one. You know, I think Grubby has a more standard, longer game style overall. So I think that Lucifron's style might match up a little bit better against that. You know, White Raw's very dangerous in the early game. He's going to proxy oracles a lot. He's going to mix it up quite a bit. So I don't know. It's a hard question. I think that Lucifron has the potential to possibly win the whole thing if he beats White Raw here.
I feel like out of all the 4 players we got here, I feel like White Raw is the best with a new game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A new RTS game. Because, I mean, you've been playing RTSs for this long. And you know, he's always very creative. I remember playing with White Raw in the beta. For StarCraft II, just being like, man, the guy's got his stuff figured out.
He figures things out very quickly, Tasos.
All right, guys. Well, are you ready for game number 3? Well, it is loading now, and when it's all loaded up, we'll throw that on screen. If you are just now joining us, the winner of this match here goes on to the finals up against Grubby. To introduce our players now from Spain in the bottom left, show your support for Lucifron. And in the upper right from Ukraine with his special tactics, make some noise for White Raw.
Well, Daybreak, that's a great map to finish on.
Yeah,
here.
it is. This is a classic StarCraft II map.
Yeah, you know, this is one that every single StarCraft II professional gamer is completely comfortable on. And in fact, I'd go as far to say anyone who watches StarCraft II professional gaming regularly has seen this map so many times that they're probably comfortable on it as well.
Yeah. It's just an overall good map. It makes for a very awesome late game. Especially you get the map split in half. You have to fight over these the expansion at the top and the expansion at the bottom. So let's see here. Is White Raw, in your opinion, probably going to go for an Oracle build again?
I think so. You know, this map's pretty big. I don't think he can be punished for it too badly. I think he'll probably go for an Oracle. I don't know if it'll be proxied, but I think it's not a bad choice for Daybreak.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go for an Oracle, but probably not proxied this time. And you can see Lucifron is adapting very well right now. He is not going to make a quick command center against these guys.